in order to humiliate me as the daughter of Henry's nanny. On his birthday, someone read aloud my secret love diary for him in public, laughing at me for being deaf and still having the audacity. Henry stopped this farce with a dark face. Is liking something that should be laughed at? Is hearing impairment something she can decide? Who is always forbearing and restrained, flew into a rage and told everyone to get out. I thought he would, like countless times before, comfort me tenderly and gently that it was okay. But I saw him tear off my hearing aid. I clearly read his lip language. What he said was, "You are so disgusting." At that moment, something collapsed in my heart. Falling in love with Henry is an easy thing, but giving him up is also a decision in this instant. It wasn't until his figure disappeared on the second floor that I reacted. It was me who was being ignorant. Even when lying on the bed, I couldn't figure out that I would receive the evaluation of being disgusting from his mouth. Memories kept flashing in my mind. We grew up together since childhood. He said he was my older brother and would always protect me. Little things one after another were like a net, intertwining our life trajectories. The him who drove away those who laughed at me for being deaf. The him who stayed by my bedside all night when I was sick. The him who put a hand warmer in my hand in winter. The him who went to school and came home with me regardless of wind and rain. The him who would celebrate every important day with me. At the age of 16, I realized that my feelings for him were not like brother and sister. Not a habit, but love. Because as long as he was close, I could hear my own violent heartbeat. In those throbbing nights, I wrote my feelings into my diary, thinking that no one would ever find out. The last memory was fixed on the day before yesterday when Henry asked me what gift I had prepared for him. I joked that it was just a flower randomly planted in the garden. He said okay. As long as it was from me, he would like it. It turned out that it was all my wishful thinking. I was just the daughter of their nanny. How could I confidently think that he was special to me? Mom came to knock on my door, and told me to turn off the light and go to bed early. I looked up from the gap in the curtain. Henry's room was already completely dark. In the past, every time it was his birthday, after the crowd dispersed, he would take me to his study. There were only the two of us. He made a wish. I sang, and then blew out the candles. But today, I didn't wait for his message until I fell asleep. Naturally, I didn't give out the birthday gift that had been prepared long ago. Henry didn't go to school with me the next day. It was the driver uncle who had sent him home and told me. Said he had left early in the morning. After a while, the driver uncle glanced at me who was still in a daze. From now on, for going to school and coming home, the young master will take a car. Don't wait for him. I stood there and thought for a while. Henry should want to put some distance between us. Back at school, everyone's eyes on me were a bit different. As soon as I put down my school bag, those discussions came. Have you seen the forum? A toad wants to eat swan meat. Just wants to fly on a branch and become a phoenix. Doesn't she know she is deaf? So disgusting. Don't look at what identity. Have you read too many novels? Fantasizing about the rich young master falling in love with the nanny's daughter. Perhaps their voices were too loud and woke up my desk mate who was still sleeping. Charles stood up and kicked the desk in front of him hard. Are you guys annoying? Are you the only ones who can talk nonstop? If your mouths are so idle, why don't you go and lick the school toilets clean? The people chatting about gossip dispersed. I sat down and looked at my phone before I knew. That little episode about me at Henry's birthday party yesterday was posted on the school forum by some people on the scene. Looking through it later, I saw a few conspicuous comments. Speaking of which, Henry scolded all those who were making a fuss last night. Are you sure it's not protection? The culprit didn't come to school today. I heard she went to the hospital. So harsh. Don't imagine things blindly. Henry was so disgusted that he went to school by car today. Don't you know? Just now I heard from their class that he forbids people from mentioning Cherry's name in front of him. If you really like a disabled person, you will be laughed at to death. For some reason, it was like being bitten by an ant. There was a little pain in my heart. Little desk mate. Don't listen to those people's nonsense. These rich kids are just bored every day. Seeing that I didn't speak, he took out a tissue from his bag and lowered his head to give it to me, looking a bit at a loss. Don't cry. I turned off my phone and looked up at him and smiled. I didn't cry, just decided not to like Henry anymore. 3. The forum post disappeared after the first class. I guessed it was his doing. Well, otherwise, if it was always hanging there, how could people laugh at him? Charles started chatting with me about everything during the break. The teenager had very fair skin, and a small mole on the bridge of his nose. Perhaps for Charles. I was introverted and had few friends. I was an excellent listener. On this autumn morning when the breeze was gentle and a corner of the curtain was blown up, his eyes reflected my appearance and his breathing sound gradually approached. Little desk mate. You have always been very cute and great. Don't forget. I am still waiting for your autographed book. Charles was the first person besides my mom who knew about my writing. To reduce mom's burden, I have been writing for various magazines since elementary school. In the second year of junior high school, I started serializing novels and now I have some fans. Looking into Charles's eyes, he winked at me. Let's make a pinky promise. I'm afraid you'll forget. After evening self-study, I met Henry at a door. When we passed by each other, he didn't say a word. Little desk mate. Wait for me. I turned my head. Charles casually slung his school bag over his shoulder. Let's go. Go home together. Henry, who had already walked far ahead, stopped. I didn't react for a moment. Charles raised his eyebrows. Why? Only you are allowed to live there? No. It's just that I haven't encountered this before. He snorted softly. From now on, you will encounter it often. I smiled at him. Okay. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Henry turn his head at some point, looking at me expressionlessly. Then, a girl called him. He inferently withdrew his gaze and got into the car with the girl. For after returning home, Mom asked me to help deliver a courier to Stella. She went to prepare milk and fruits for Henry. I put down my school bag and took the courier and walked in the direction of the villa. But unexpectedly, I saw Stella and Henry in a corner of the garden. I was about to go forward and say hello. In the next second, Stella's voice reached my ears. What you did yesterday was a bit excessive. Henry's expression was indifferent. We have to give some lessons to stop their mouths. Stella frowned. After a while, she sighed. What do you think of Cherry in your heart? Mom wants to know your thoughts. For an instant, my heartbeat inexplicably accelerated. I clenched my fingers. But I saw Henry's eyes were extremely cold. His thin lips parted slightly without a trace of emotion. The daughter of the nanny. Do you still want to stay here forever? I was stunned for a few seconds before I reacted. The relationship between us was not sister. Not an ordinary friend. Just the daughter of the nanny. I smiled self-deprecating lie and turned to leave. Henry. Fortunately, I didn't say that I like you. Otherwise, how embarrassing it would be to hear this rejection in person. 5. I started to try my best to avoid contact with Henry. No longer go to his classroom to find him every day. No longer habitually look at whether there is a lit light in his room after typing late at night. No longer appear in front of him. Occasionally when I sensed his gaze, I always looked away first. I would definitely not appear in the same time and space as him. I always have to live my own life. The first one to notice the strangeness was actually Charles. That day he just woke up and poked my arm with his finger. Did you break off relations with Henry? I shook my head. I just completely straightened out my position and returned to where I should be. We have no relationship in the first place. What are we talking about breaking off relations? Visibly, Charles curved his lips. His expression quickly returned. He took out a peach-flavored candy from his bag and put it in my hand. In that case, little desk mate, after you eat my candy, can you help me with tutoring? Charles became famous at a young age. He is absent from school for most of the semester. Now in his senior year of high school preparing for the college entrance examination. He pushed aside the drama invitation, and finally can be seen at school. Every time we met before, he always prepared many small gifts for me and shared many interesting stories with me. Also recently when I was laughed at for being deaf and in trouble, he helped me several times. I had no reason to refuse. When I was explaining the questions, he just looked at me quietly. Sometimes his gaze would stay by my hearing aid for a long time. Then he looked at me with a smile. Damn it. I'm so stupid. Can you explain it again? The days of senior year passed quickly. I heard from Mom that Henry became very busy. Busy getting familiar with his family's business in the company. Busy preparing applications for studying abroad. That was the overseas market newly developed by Daju. Xiaohui has been very excellent since he was a child. He is a born entrepreneur. Saying going to study abroad is actually going for early training, so that he can take over the family business well. I paused before speaking. That's good. I heard from the Baum that the Zhang family intends to form an alliance. Xiaohui agreed. I was suddenly stunned. So that's it. No wonder there have been many photos of Henry and the Zhang family's daughter on the school firm recently. Occasionally looking out of the window to the corridor, I would meet them walking together and chatting and laughing. It should be like this. Well matched. Talented man and beautiful woman. There was no waves in my heart. In my phone was a message from Charles. I'm at the back door. Come quickly. I have prepared a surprise for you. I ran over and saw Charles holding a large insulated bag. The winter night wind blew his nose red. He happily opened the bag. Look. I lowered my head. There was an ugly little snowman lying there. In Rongcheng. It basically doesn't snow in winter. I went to have a meal with my dad. There was a lot of snow on the top of the mountain. So everyone started to play. It was very lively and noisy. I thought you would definitely like it. I really liked it. But he could bring this down completely. He must have been very careful along the way. Thank you, Charles. I waited in the ICU day after day. But Mom didn't wake up. In those 2 weeks, the thing I signed the most was the critical illness notice. Numbly writing my name. Numbly staying outside the ward. Waiting for a signal of awakening or a death sentence. Charles was always by my side. Henry was also there. I didn't want to see him. So he silently stayed in other places. Stella comforted me and said that she would find the best doctor for treatment. Everyone said that I had no reason to blame Henry. It was an accident. After crying tiredly, I couldn't say anything anymore. I just thought, why? Why does misfortune always strike the vulnerable? In just a few months, Mom and I could go to Beijing together. I had even found a house there and made a travel guide. I wanted to take her to have a good time. Why not? On the 20th day, Mom finally opened her eyes. In the quiet late night, she was rarely conscious. Usually healthy. She was now pale and had lost a lot of weight due to illness. My tears couldn't stop. Don't cry. Cherry. You listen to me. Xiaohui is also a child I watched grow up. You are all my children. Saving him is a reaction engraved in my bones subconsciously. She moved her finger. I quickly held it tight and leaned my head towards her. She wiped away my tears. But the corners of her own eyes became moist. Cherry. If Mom leaves, you have to be okay. You know? I shook my head. No. I won't be okay. She rubbed my head. Silly child. You have been Mom's pride since you were little. You are sensible and obedient. Since elementary school. You have used your manuscript fees to buy gifts for Mom. Mom has read what you wrote. It's very good. I believe our Cherry will definitely fly to the height she wants. Her gaze fell on the lonely figure outside the ward. After a while, she sighed. Mom knows everything. Don't blame Mom. Perhaps the Shen family is not a good choice for you. Xiaohui is burdened with so much. How tired he lives. Mom doesn't want you to be trapped here either. Don't be sad. In my dreams, your dad has been with me all the time. He has waited for me for a long time and has become much older. I made a promise with him to be together forever. Mom is going to fulfill her promise. I was sobbing. But what about me? She held my hand tightly. In the next life, can I still be your mom? I heard that Beijing is very beautiful. But Cherry, I'm sorry. Mom is going to break her promise. Also, don't blame anyone and don't repay kindness with gratitude. Even at the last moment of life, she was still making me not think about having a result with Henry. She was fulfilling the promise between her and Stella. I leaned on her and felt her life slipping away little by little. I know that being able to say so much is all a flash of light before death. In the end, she couldn't speak anymore and wrote in my hand. It was freedom. 12. The Shen family helped arrange Mom's funeral. They bought a very good cemetery and held a grand ceremony. Stella said she wanted to adopt me as her goddaughter and said that if I wanted, I could live in the Shen family forever. I declined her kindness. I know that I can't blame her either. She has never said an embarrassing word in front of me. She is Henry's mom. She also has her considerations and difficulties. I am clumsy with words. Not smooth. Have a hearing impairment. And I am still the daughter of their nanny. Even if I don't label myself as unworthy. But there will always be people who put layer after layer of shackles on me through those past experiences. To remind me that there can be no result between me and Henry. And Henry has completed the procedures for studying abroad. Will you see him off? I remained non-committal. Mom said it wasn't Henry's fault. She just wanted to protect him. The perpetrator said they never expected the brakes to fail and hit someone. Yes. No one is wrong. But why do I have no mom? That day, Charles found me in the cemetery. The sky was getting late. The breeze in early summer was neither impatient nor impetuous. He was wearing a black shirt with a small white flower on his sleeve. He put my mom's favorite baby's breath in front of her tombstone. I looked up at him. My teary eyes gradually became blurred. He walked up to me, wiped away my tears, and reached out to hug me. Don't worry. There is only me here. Cry. Crying will make you feel better. Didn't they say that temple is very spiritual? I tightly held onto the corner of his clothes. Tears burst out. But Charles, how did I become an orphan? After a long time, I heard Charles' hoarse and slightly choked voice. Mom will become a star and watch you from the sky. So you must live well for her to see. Until the night was thick. He continued. Don't be afraid. Little desk mate. I am here. I will wait for you in Beijing. 13. I didn't go to Beijing. I didn't perform well in the college entrance examination that year. I packed my bags and went to Harbin, which is very far from Rongcheng. There is no humidity and sultriness in the south. It is a city with sunshine all year round and snowflakes flying all over the sky in winter. Except for not having mom. Everything is just right. I moved out of the Shen family. When I left, Stella stopped me and put a bank card in my school bag. Cherry, this will always be your home. If you are tired outside, remember to come home. I thought a lot. When the words came to my lips, I still only said two words. Thank you. She wiped away her tears. You have to be okay. Otherwise, Aunt will feel bad and Henry will be sad too. On the day Henry left, I didn't see him off. I was behind the curtain and watched him drag his luggage and look in the direction of my room for a long time. It was only when the driver reminded him that he would miss the plane if he didn't leave soon that he left. A message popped up on my phone. I'm sorry. It's my fault that you don't have a mom anymore. I didn't reply and deleted his contact information. I left without looking back. I opened Mom's phone in the waiting room. The latest note in her memo read, I can't wait to go to Beijing. Our Cherry is so great. I hope Cherry's dream of becoming a great writer comes true. At this moment, my phone made a ding sound. Dear, the first printing of our book is 10. 0 copies. Get ready to start signing autographs. Looking at the message from the editor, I burst into tears suddenly. Mom. Look. Your daughter is very promising. Her novel is published. She is very close to being a great writer. Do you see it? 14 in the 4 years of college. I didn't meet Henry once. Perhaps not contacting each other anymore is the best ending between us. But unexpectedly, Charles frequently entered my life. My intentional missed appointments and intentional severance of all contacts didn't seem to hold true for him. He would casually say on a summer afternoon, when cicadas were chirping nonstop, "I'm filming here. Little desk mate. Do you have time to show me around?" He would also send a message on a snowy night. "I'm downstairs at your house. The snow is so heavy. Can you bring a pen down so I can make eyes for the snowman?" Or on the first day of the new year, facing the wind and snow, he rang the dream catcher at my door and was carrying large and small bags. "Do you want a warm hot pot?" At that time, from becoming famous at a young age to gradually establishing a firm foothold in the entertainment industry, he had many fans and was an idol worshipped by others. But he was wearing home clothes and huddled with me in a small rental house. While eating, he told me those interesting stories he had experienced. Just like countless times in the 3 years of high school, every time he came, he was carrying a backpack and wearing a mask. As long as I went downstairs, he was there. He was always there. He would say, "Little desk mate. You seem to have grown taller again. Little desk mate. You should eat more. Don't be too thin. Little desk mate. I see that your writing has been published again. Can I have an autograph? Little desk mate. I hope that one day I can become the protagonist in your book. I mean, can I have the opportunity to act out your novel?" 15 What Charles said was quickly realized. In the second year after graduation, my most popular book was adapted into a TV drama. He was the male lead and I was the screenwriter. At the opening ceremony, I unexpectedly saw Henry. He was the investor. In fact, in these years, I would occasionally hear news about him, saying that he took over the Shen family's company, saying that he attended a certain summit, saying that he and his fiancée from a well-matched family were about to get married. The past is like clouds and smoke. Mom said not to hold grudges against anyone. I didn't want to disappoint her. So when he walked up to me, I didn't turn around and leave. Instead, I gently said, "Long time no see." Just with this one sentence, I saw Henry's eyes instantly turn red. He pursed his lips and lowered his eyes. "Long time no see. Cherry. When old friends meet again, it always easily evokes memories." So he invited me to have a meal and I agreed. We went to a restaurant with strong privacy. Looking out of the window, we could see the Forbidden City. There was a very bright star in the sky as dark as ink. It was like Mom was looking at me gently. I really didn't expect that one day, Henry and I could still sit together and chat calmly. Recalling our youth, it felt like telling someone else's story. In those more than 10 years, it was so beautiful. I called him brother since I was little. He said he would always like me as his sister. But the beauty came to an abrupt end. Between us, we could always not avoid that exposed secret love. That car accident where I lost my only relative. Guilt, sadness, and powerlessness were all clearly visible on his face. "I'm sorry. I didn't protect you well. I didn't protect your mom well either." My heart suddenly tightened. I curled up my fingers and forced a smile. "My mom doesn't blame you." There was a note in Mom's memo. "Xiao Hui. Just be Cherry's eternal brother." Perhaps this is the best ending for everyone. So I didn't want her to see us become enemies in the sky. Although my relationship with Henry also stops here. But I blame myself all the time. Blame myself for why I went out that day. Blame the weather. Blame myself for not being able to react and push her away. My voice was hoarse. It was an accident. I can't forgive myself. If he didn't continue. Instead, he stabilized his emotions. "It's all my fault. Making you live such a difficult and hard life. I lowered my head and sighed. Look. I still grew up to be a great adult. You also. Brother. Feelings are mutual. Mom never regretted her original decision. Hearing me call him brother. Henry was stunned. He stood up abruptly and almost fled in panic. 16 during the gap when he went to the restroom. Charles sent a message. I just met an author you like very much. I'll take you to meet in person later. I'm waiting for you downstairs. I stood up and looked down. I just saw Charles leaning against a tree wearing a mask. Seemingly sensing my gaze. He looked up. Although I couldn't see all his expressions clearly, I could feel the unstoppable happiness in his eyes. He waved at me and pointed at his phone. I lowered my head and my phone vibrated. Don't look at me anymore. Concentrate on eating. Got it. When I withdrew my gaze, I caught a glimpse of something falling under Henry's seat. It seemed to be a medicine bottle. I bent down to pick it up. When I saw the efficacy column, I was stunned. Applicable for controlling schizophrenia and anti-hallucination delusion and other symptoms. According to mobile phone search, it was a medicine for treating depression. Henry's footsteps came from behind. He took the medicine in his hand in a panic. His eyes and brows were panicked. It's not mine. I paused and looked at him. Henry. Are you sick? He was silent. I walked up to him. How long have you been sick? As he spoke, his hands trembled slightly. He avoided my gaze and painfully tugged at the corner of his mouth. For 5 years. I guess. 5 years? That means in the first year when he went abroad. He got sick. Why? He lowered his eyes and his gaze fell on the medicine bottle. In fact, I tried for 5 years. I wanted to wait until I was completely cured before coming to see you. Whether it was just to say long time no see or, how are you recently? As long as I could hear your voice. Then I would go back to my world, and you would go back to yours. Unexpectedly, I still messed it up. At that moment, I thought of what Mom said. He is burdened with so many things. How tired he is. He was always shining and excellent. Among the rich second generations, he could stand at the top. He was the one on whom the Shen family placed all their hopes and wanted to bring the family to another prosperous successor. In my impression, it seemed that there was never anything he couldn't handle. But unexpectedly, one day, even someone as strong as him would become so fragile. I looked into his eyes. Can you tell me why you got sick? 17 Henry's perspective. Why did he get sick? Henry didn't know either. Perhaps the string was too tight. From the day he was born, his life was already written. He had no choice and walked the path laid out by his parents like a tool. The pride of heaven in the eyes of others would never make mistakes. The person at the top of the pyramid had a life and power that others couldn't even imagine in a lifetime. But wasn't it also a deeper shackle? He always demanded to be number one because no one would remember the second. He was completely in control in every aspect. But only in matters of feelings could he not take the initiative. Cherry's diary recorded many little things between them. There was not a single sentence of, I like you. But he knew that love was hidden between the lines. His heartbeat stopped in that autumn. He knew what had happened. Because earlier, his mom had already come to see him. She saw his thoughts. Of course. She didn't say a bad word about Cherry. She just told him what his life path was like. He understood his mom's implication. He hid his love deeper and still accompanied her by her side like an older brother. 2 years later, an accident happened. He saw Cherry being looked at and scrutinized like a clown in the crowd and got angry. He had protected the person behind him since he was a child. He wouldn't allow others to talk about her like that. That was the first time he lost control in his life of following the rules. Love makes people timid. They are all the same. So even that sentence, I like you very much too. He had to take off her hearing aid before he dared to respond. Because he clearly knew the gap between them. Even though Cherry had always been excellent and good. But on the other hand was the burden of the family, and the expectations of his parents. He knew that he had no choice from the moment he was born. He would grow up step by step. Then, in order to achieve maximum benefits, there would be a marriage partner from a well-matched family to complete the reorganization of assets. Couldn't he see Cherry's love? Of course he could. Because he liked her just as much. He knew he couldn't completely break away from his family. He didn't want to imprison Cherry's life within a small space either. Let her endure countless criticisms and cold looks. Let her change for him. He knew that Cherry was willing for him. But he wasn't willing. Such a life without freedom. He could face it alone. A butterfly should fly to a broader world. So, he pushed her away. So, when his mom asked about their relationship, he saw Cherry's skirt corner, and said that cruel sentence. The daughter of the nanny. Do you still want to stay here forever? Seeing Cherry's figure disappearing feebly around the corner, Henry mopped himself in his heart. What's good about staying here? Cherry. Fly freely and boldly. Don't look back. He couldn't give her any promises. So it was better to destroy all her thoughts by himself. After seeing the unconditional preference and acceptance for her in Charles' eyes, he also thought about whether to resist. But God didn't give him a chance. Cherry's mom left because of saving him. He knew that they had no future. Fight for it? Grab it? But then, watching her suffer mentally because of him. Was that the result he wanted? So, in the end, he didn't knock on her door and say a word of farewell in person. For years of college, missing was like a flood of beasts, swallowing him up. On every festival, every time memories were evoked, Henry would take a plane for dozens of hours and come to that ice and snow city. Watching her get closer and closer to another man, watching the happy smile gradually appear on her face. He knew that his Cherry was great. Many people liked what she wrote. She published book after book. He was often in the car downstairs, watching the light in her house go out, and then turned and left. Cigarette butts were left all over the place. He also knew that he seemed to be sick. He always fantasized that the girl could still be quietly by his side as before. For a period of time, every time he closed his eyes, all that appeared were the memories of their youth. They had 15 years when their life trajectories completely overlapped. As soon as he lowered his head, she was always there. Until he couldn't tell whether it was reality or a dream. He started seeing a psychologist and taking medicine. The doctor suggested that he could try to establish contact with her. Maybe it wouldn't die his knot. He gave a bleak smile. He was a coward. Even though he knew he had no place in her heart anymore, he still didn't dare to face it. Moreover, watching her be better with others was even more cruel. Wasn't it? He told the doctor that it was okay. It would be okay. Everything would be okay. As long as he worked hard and tried to forget. One day he would put it down and stand in front of her again like a normal person and say, "Long time no see." When he really saw her, his heart trembled uncontrollably. Just that word brother made his heart ache. He was almost defeated. Slowly calming down his emotions in the bathroom and slowly accepting this fact. He thought, perhaps this was the best ending for him and Cherry. Brother. Just be a brother. In this way, he could always watch her from this appropriate position. As long as he didn't possess, he would never lose. Right? He hated his timidity. Was it uncomfortable? Was it powerless? Was there regret? Yes. But regret. Isn't it the normal state of life? 18 I listened quietly to his story. High work pressure. High expectations from parents. Difficulties in developing overseas markets. Dissatisfaction from the elders who had just taken power. And difficulties in reforming again. Just a few words. That was Henry's response. As I grew up, I knew that it was not easy for him to have today's career status. Behind the pride of heaven, wasn't it also extraordinary efforts different from ordinary people? Sophisticated at a young age. Restrained in emotions. Forbearing and restrained. This was how people evaluated Henry in his teens. Behind the wealthy family, every step was unimaginably difficult. Money can't be earned endlessly. You should pay more attention to your body. After all, he was the person my mom saved with her life. I hoped he was healthy. Well, I will. Henry nodded. His peripheral vision fell on Charles' figure downstairs. Is he waiting for you? Yes. I made an appointment to chat with a great author I like. That's good. Do you need me to ask my driver to take you? I shook my head. No need. You go back and have a good sleep. Okay. He smiled gently, then took out a box from behind. A gift. Don't rush to refuse. It's not something expensive. Just take it as a souvenir. I took it. He breathed a sigh of relief. Slowly curved his lips. His eyes showed no emotion. It was like saying goodbye to an old friend. Then I'll go. Goodbye. Cherry. 19. I chatted with the author I liked until midnight. After having a few drinks, I was in an excited state. I hummed a melody softly and walked in the alley filled with moonlight. It was so quiet that only the footsteps of me and Charles could be heard. I turned my head. He was stepping on my shadow. Looking at each other. He raised a smile. Do you know what I thought of? I thought of the butterfly specimen I gave you on your birthday that year. Look. Aren't you now flying step by step along the path you want? At that moment, heaven and earth became gentle. In the dark summer when I was 18, in those years on the snowy nights in Harbin, countless days spent accompanied by words written with fingertips. But unexpectedly, after going around in a circle, I still came to Beijing. Somehow, my eyes slowly became red. Charles. I was really happy just now. I seemed to be getting closer and closer to the dream of my youth. I will meet many new friends. No one will give me a strange look because of my hearing impairment. Even under the spotlight, what I felt was kindness. The embarrassment and helplessness after the secret love in the diary was made public back then seemed to be gradually blurred by years. Even the state of mind at that time was blurred. And then, I also feel a little sad. We sat side by side in the silent night. I slowly told him the story between me and Henry, once the most important existence in each other's lives. But we were drifting apart. Many emotions intertwined, making my feelings for him very complicated. Then allow these emotions to happen, Charles said. I read a sentence that said every passerby in our lives is unique. They will leave some of their marks and also take away some of our breath. Some people will take away a lot. Some people will leave nothing. This just proves that two souls will not meet by chance. Time never forks and leads to countless futures. But no matter how long the night is, day will always come. 20. When I was unpacking Henry's gift halfway, my eyes flashed. It was a custom-made Pluto planet. It was the birthday gift I didn't give out when I was 18. Why did he choose this? It was because Henry was like the sun to me at that time. But I was like Pluto, very far away from the sun. Lonely and cold. At the edge of the vast interstellar space. Silently looking at him who was glowing and hot. In fact, when I heard those words at the age of 16, I had already planned to give up. But love was uncontrollable. Finally, in the year when I was 18, fate chose to let us part ways with various accidents. This gift didn't reach his hands. I thought he would never know. After calming down, I opened the bottom box. Under Pluto, there was quietly another planet. It was Karen. There was a QR code on the card next to it. After I scanned it with my phone, the planet emitted light and projected a universe above my head. That was the way Pluto and Karen accompanied each other and rotated quietly. There is a term in astronomy called tidal locking. Pluto and Karen are the only pair in the entire solar system that are mutually locked. They always face each other in a face-to-face posture. In the deep and vast universe, their gazes only stay on each other. Even as time passes and the stars shift, the celestial dust around them comes and goes and comes again, and they just stay there and will never leave each other. Very romantic, right? But being together forever, yet never being able to get close, not even by a tiny bit of distance. There was a slight warmth in my heart. Only later did I realize that I had misinterpreted Henry's lip language when I was 18. The sentence he said was not, "You are so disgusting." Instead, it was, "I like you very much." 21. I went to see Mom at the cemetery. Every year I would take a few days to accompany her specifically, chat with her and tell her about my own things. I saw Henry. As you wished. I didn't blame him. I had a good chat with him. It seems that I gradually understand that hatred can't solve any problems, and can't bring you back to life. I am starting to let go. Mom. Many people like my novels. They have even been made into TV dramas. Isn't it amazing? These years, I have been living well. How about you? Are you happy with Dad? If you are happy, can you tell me? Please? Just at this moment, the breeze lifted the hem of my clothes and gently stroked my cheek. It was like Mom's answer. I sniffed. Okay. Mom. Then I can rest assured. Someone behind me handed over a handkerchief. I glanced sideways. It was Henry. Facing the setting sun. His face was stern and the dark circles under his eyes were still conspicuous. He put the flowers on the ground. Aunt Chang. I'm here. Looking down. My eyes were a little sore. I took the handkerchief. On the position touched by my thumb, there was a butterfly embroidered. Henry slowly recounted his self-blame and sadness. The clouds thickened as if they were going to bend his body. He pursed his lips and looked at me. His nose was red. I'm sorry. He had said sorry many times in a few days. I was silent. Because I wouldn't reply it's okay. He also knew that silence was already my most decent answer. In the end, before leaving, I waved at him. You should also move forward. Henry. I really hope you are well. I also hope that we can both reach the end we want. 22. His back was lonely and desolate. Until he completely disappeared. Gradually, sporadic snowflakes began to fall in the sky. It was rare for this city to snow. I don't know if this is a way for us to say goodbye to the past. I gently wiped off the falling snow on my face. The moist touch made me suddenly feel like it was tears. Charles in the distance slowly approached and held an umbrella for me. Under the shadow. He winked at me and then looked at the tombstone. Hello. Aunt. Nice to see you again this year. I was delayed for a while and didn't arrive with Cherry. I'm really sorry. Aunt. You don't know. In this year, Cherry and I. Charles always had a lot to say. He vividly told Mom about what happened this year again. I remembered writing the yearbook before graduation. Charles' message to everyone was 4 words. Have a bright future. I said he was sparing with words. That day when he wasn't there, the female classmate at the back table said that it was because he was only different to me. Without me, he was always aloof and distant to others. It was not the talkative and smiling person I saw. Only I was the exception. It was an absolute and unique preference. I turned my head and saw his clean and sharp jawline. I saw his smiling eyes and his lips moving. Cherry is already a great writer now. She is extremely great. I looked away. The cold wind blew into my neck. When I came to my senses, Charles had already taken off the scarf from his neck and put it on me. Then he pretended to be angry. Aunt. Don't worry. I will take good care of Cherry. Next time. Don't let her come to see you wearing so little again. I couldn't help laughing. I left the handkerchief Henry gave me at the cemetery. The first snow came quickly and left quickly. The layers of clouds dispersed in the sky. The afterglow of the setting sun emitted warm light. Look. The sky is clear again. 23. The next summer. The drama Charles filmed became a huge hit. About love. About growth. About family affection. About friendship. About life choices. The words I typed down when I was at a low point in my life were one day seen and emphasized with by more people. Charles also became known from being a little famous to being a household name. To the extent that as soon as I went out, I could see his endorsement advertisements everywhere. When I looked from the rooftop, on the huge electronic screen was his smiling expression. From 16 to 26 years old. 10 years. The high-spirited teenager grew into the most dazzling man under the spotlight. It seemed to happen in an instant. Cherry. Look up. Charles' gentle and clear voice came from the phone. In the pitch-black night, electronic fireworks began to be set off. Like countless stars falling. Brilliant and dazzling. Dazzling and shining. Is it beautiful? I nodded. Then turn around. Charles' voice was mixed with a slight panting sound. He seemed to have just returned from the celebration party. The wind on the rooftop blew his white shirt. Just like when we were young. He had rosy lips and white teeth. He strode towards me. He didn't take off my hearing aid. Instead, he said to me word by word, "Cherry, I like you. Is there a chance to spend the next 10 years with you?" Just as the fireworks ended, a star was hanging high in the sky. The starlight shone in Charles' eyes. When Charles was 18 years old, his wish at the temple was to be with Cherry year after year. Later, when my mom was seriously ill, he returned again and hung the blessing plaque at the highest point on the treetop by hand. It is said that the gods will see it first. There was written, "Cherry and Aunt should always be happy and healthy." I know that at countless important moments in my life, he is there. He is always there. It was when I was 16 years old. The flamboyant teenager reached out his hand and smiled. "Hello, desk mate. I'm Charles." It was when I was 17 years old. When I secretly updated my novel and was discovered. His eyes sparkled and encouraged me. "Desk mate. You are so great. You will definitely become a great writer in the future." It was when I was 18 years old. When I was the only one left in the world. He softly said in the darkness, "Don't be afraid. I am here." It was during the 4 years of college. Meeting again and again. Accompanying. Love was hidden in every word and every detail. It was also now at the age of 25. As long as I turned around, he was there. It seemed that he had never left. End of main text. Henry's extra chapter. She didn't know. She would never know. He was her first reader. From the moment she typed the first word on the internet, he was always the first person to reply. That drama became extremely popular. And as the screenwriter, she also appeared in public. In the interview, she was wearing a light blue dress. Gentle and quiet. The spotlight made her skin very white. The reporter asked her, during the writing process, "Is there anything worth recording?" She faced the camera and showed two small dimples. Her voice was gentle and soft. "In fact, I am very grateful to my first reader. He reads every book of mine. When I am confused, he will send me a long essay to encourage me. I think he must be a lovely little girl. He always likes to send me emoticons. If he wasn't always there, maybe I wouldn't know if I would continue to finish the stories in the book." The reporter smiled. "It's a divine reader, right?" "Yes. I don't know if she can see it. Here, I still want to say to her again, thank you." Henry turned off the video, reaching out and touching. His face was a little wet. He opened Weibo. His fingers stayed on the keyboard for a long time. It was only after a long time, when the tears evaporated, that he slowly typed a line and messaged her privately. "You're welcome. I will always support you. Love you forever."